When you search teens in the media online, what would you expect to see? The majority of the results are negative, portraying teens as ultimately bad people with little to no redeeming qualities. From a young age, kids are bombarded with information on how they should dress, act, and be. As kids get older, their consumption of media grows, making the content they consume have a larger and larger impact on their everyday lives. Although it is normally perceived that this kind of influence by the media usually affects the younger generation, it has become increasingly clear that all ages are affected. The kind of headlines that are normal for us to see in the news regarding teens consist of stories such as hoodies, louts, and scum, teenagers suspects in string of burglaries, and teenagers arrested in school vandalism. And in TV and film, the popular teens are shown as wild, sex-crazed kids who can't get their lives together. Much of what teens watch is geared towards them as the audience, and it is up to them whether they take in or reject what the media implies about them and others, but much of what the media shows us about teens is then ingrained into society and what others think of teens. According to an independent article, quote, as a result of the negative press, 80% of teens felt adults were more wary of them now than they had been a year ago, and many were also now more wary of boys of their own age. Nearly a third said they are always or often wary of teenage boys they don't know. End quote. The Independent also states that the best chance for a teenage boy to receive positive or kind coverage in the news is if they had met a sudden or untimely death, at which point they would be associated with phrases such as the best son a mother could wish for, model student, or angel. When there is so much negative press surrounding teens, it's no surprise that people will start to believe it, whether it be consciously or not. But seeing as all of this news is about teens, do they ever get asked for their opinions? No. Fewer than 1 in 10 articles about young people has actually been quoted by young people. This also becomes increasingly frustrating when you look at articles such as one on the BBC News website that states that in a survey of over 1,000 14 to 17-year-olds, 85% of them believe that negative news stories were affecting their chances of getting a job. Examples of negative messages aimed at teens are also seen in films like Mean Girls, Grease, Clueless, and Princess Diaries, where they portray the cruel kids as the popular ones. This shows teens that in order to be popular, you need to be cruel to those around you. You can see this by looking closer at Clueless.
You're wearing sweatpants. It's Monday.
So?
So that's against the rules, and you can't sit with us.
Whatever.
You can't sit with us!
The main characters are rich and popular. They befriend the new girl in school and teach her how to be cool. They make her dress a certain way, dye her hair, and show her how to act at parties. They are also cruel to the other students who don't fit into what they see as cool. When teens watch a film like this, they are subliminally being taught that they too need to be like this to be popular. Many popular films also show teens, and girls in particular, that they cannot be happy unless they have a boyfriend. Portrayals like this can have harmful effects on teens. They can become so unhappy with their lives and status in society that they can become depressed. A youth research project run by Hertzmere and Youth Connections Hertfordshire, looking at unbalanced negative media portrayal of youth, found that when they asked people of all ages for negative stereotypes of teens, the top results were drinking, drugs, and smoking. This is also reinforced by films that have become popular over recent years, in which teens go off the rails by consuming drugs and alcohol. This is seen in films such as Spring Breakers, Project X, and Bad Neighbors. These kinds of films show teens taking drugs and drinking alcohol in excess, which leads them to cause riots and use uncivilized behavior, which in most of the films then leads to destruction of social, family, or community groups. Reality shows are a whole other beast entirely. They portray teens as wild in a way that seems like it is real, which reinforces the idea that that is the way to be for teens, or the idea that that is the way they are for those of older generations. The Girl Scout Research Institute found that, quote, some 8 out of 10 girls who regularly watch real-life shows like Jersey Shore or The Hills or reality competitions like American Idol believe these programs are true to life, describing them as mainly real and unscripted, unquote. 16 and Pregnant and its spin-off, Teen Mom, for example, follow a bunch of 16-year-olds along their journey, both during and after their pregnancies. Audiences watching then get the impression that the lives of these teens portray everyday Americans and teens in general. The girls' lives are presented in a way that it is 100% real, and everything on screen is exactly how it happened to every teen. But every teen is different, and once people see shows like this, they begin to generalize about teenagers and their lives, and teens can feel pigeonholed. It is easily said that the media does represent youth in a negative light more often than positively, to the extent that 85% believe negative stereotypes are affecting their chances of getting a job, and almost 9 out of 10 young people feel bad stereotypes about teenagers are impacting on their employability. Rob Austin, 18, from Newcastle, told The Independent, quote, "The way teenagers are presented in the media does make a difference when you're applying for a job. In the last 6 months, I've applied for about 30 part-time and weekend jobs to work around school, mostly retail work, customer service, call centers, and cleaning. I just want to get a job so I'm not living off my mom and dad, but I keep getting turned down. If I didn't mention I was 18 on my CV, I think I might have got further. Now I've started not putting my age down," unquote. This leaves us with one question. Is the coverage of teens in the media a reliable source for us to base our judgments of them on?